Good morning. This is Bread from the Beach. I'd really like to follow up on some of the things that we said yesterday. And I want to go back, if I can, here with you to this 4th chapter of 2 Corinthians. But I would like for you to look with me at verse 5. Paul says this, "For what we preach is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake." Let that passage sink in. What he's really telling us is it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about him. The church that I've served in and in different ways for years, down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, called Liberty Christian Fellowship, the podium that was used for years until it was broken, it was fiberglass, and on the front of it, it said, "His story, not yours." I think sometimes in ministry, we have the tendency to make it about ourselves, about the things that we've experienced, even though what we've experienced is important and it shapes us. But nevertheless, it's not about us, it's about him. You know, we look at our abilities in the natural and we think, well, I can do this, I can speak well, I can engage people well, and so on. It's not about us. It's about him. When I was growing up in the church, one of the things I heard about ministry was that there are a lot of people miss the call to ministry because they don't see themselves as qualified. I don't have this gifting or that gifting. And then I heard this phrase, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the call. He qualifies the called. Why? Because it's always about his story and not ours. He will shape us so that our story can be used as a means by which the gospel can be shared and preached and taught, but it's always about his story. It would be a good thing in this season right now for us to get our eyes off ourselves, get our eyes off what's going on in our society, if you don't mind, and get our eyes back on the Lord. Then when we look at ourselves and look at what's going on in our society, we see it through a different lens. We see it through the eyes of faith. We see it through the compassion of Christ. We see it through the love of God. We see it differently. Not my story, his story. What an amazing statement here that Paul makes. And it's an avenue really to approach ministry that will keep us on an even keel. You see a lot of folk today who've been lifted up, touted as this great teacher, this great preacher, and so on. And that's great. And I'm glad that people receive them and hear from them. We got to remember, it's about him. Not us, not about them, but about him. So it doesn't matter if we happen to have this great oratory voice or if we happen to have a powerful way of impressing. It's about him, not about us. So I just want to encourage you. God will equip you as he has ministry for you, calls you in it. Don't shrink back because you don't see yourself as somebody who's qualified. He will qualify you because it's his story that needs to be told, and he wants to tell it through you. This has been Bread from the Beach. Be blessed.